Hi, this is Group 7, and our topic is Religious and Festival in Islam. So, we will start with an introduction, and then in the Islamic religious section, we will first introduce about the 5 pillars of Islam and the birth of a baby, wedding, and funeral customs. Next, in the festival section, we will talk about two largest festivals in Islam. Let's look at what a festival does and its main features and what it means. And we will take about conclusion. The one of the religions of Islam you have heard the most is probably Ramadan. Ramadan is one of the representative duties of Muslims. The Ramadan period is about a month during which Muslims cannot eat or drink. If you heard that they are fasting during Ramadan, you may be wondering if anyone shouldn't really eat anything. It's true, they are not allowed to eat, drink water, even smoke. However, you may not have known that even during Ramadan, after sunset, they can eat simple food or drinking water. In Korea, few people know about Islamic rituals and festivals. I think this is because we have not been able to easily access Islam around. The estimated number of Muslims in Korea is about 30,000. Other versions are estimated at 170,000, and in total about 200,000 believes in Islam. This is only 0.4% of the Korean population, so we have no choice to know Islam. Therefore, we will introduce their rituals and festivals and explain their cultures.
Hello, my name is Kim Jong-ho, and I'm going to talk about the rituals of Islam and especially focus on the 5 pillars of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam are rituals that Muslims consider mandatory. These rituals are written in the Hadith of Gabriel, which are Muhammad's actions and words written as a record. The 5 pillars include Shahada, Salat, Saum, Zakat, and Hajj. The first pillar of Islam is called Shahada. Shahada is defined in Islam as a declaration of faith. It is stated in the Quran in 2 parts. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. These words show the monotheistic aspect of Islamic culture and emphasizes God's mercifulness. The Muslims believe that this is the faith that describes them as a Muslim. The Shahada is the first statement said to a newborn and the last thing said to a person before death. During their lifetime, the Shahada is said during prayers every 5 times a day. The third pillar of Islam is Saum. Saum is defined as the fasting rituals of Islam. Fasting is usually held during Ramadan periods from every dawn to sunset. It is mentioned in the Quran saying, "Eat and drink until the whiteness of the day becomes distinct from the blackness of the night at dawn, then complete the fast till night." During fasting, Muslims are not allowed to eat or smoke. Also, sexual intercourse is also forbidden during fasting periods. The purpose of fasting is to sense that God is nearby, to search for forgiveness from God, and to express gratitude and dependence towards God. The fifth and final pillar of Islam is called Hajj, a pilgrimage ritual in Islam. Muslims visit the Mecca occasionally to follow the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad. During their journey to the Mecca, all pilgrims should wear white clothing because this shows that there should be no such discrimination between the pilgrims.
Hello, my name is Bae Sunghyun, and I'm going to introduce about birth ritual and marriage of Islam. First, attendance and adhan. Muslim women tend to prefer all female attendants at the birth, whether they be doctors, nurses, midwives, doulas, or female relatives. However, it is permissible in Islam for male doctors to attend to a pregnant woman. There is no Islamic teaching that prohibits fathers from attending the birth of their child. This is left up to personal choice. Second, call to prayer. It is also called adhan. The practice of regular prayer is the most fundamental practice in Islam. Muslim prayer, which is performed 5 times a day, can be performed almost anywhere, either individually or in the congregation. The time of prayer is announced by the call to prayer, which is called from the Muslim place of worship. Originally, the main purpose behind the multiple loud pronouncement of adhan in every mosque is to make available to everyone an easily intelligible summary of Islamic belief. These beautiful words, which call the Muslim community to prayer 5 times a day, are also the first words the Muslim baby will hear. The father or a family elder will whisper these words in the baby's ear shortly after its birth. Circumcision. Islam prescribes male circumcision with the sole purpose of facilitating cleanliness. The male child may be circumcised at any time which is convenient without ceremony. However, parents usually have their son circumcised before his trip home from the hospital. 4. Breastfeeding. Muslim women are encouraged to give their children the nourishment of breast milk. The Quran instructs that if a woman breastfeeds her children, their period of weaning is 2 years. 5. Akika. Akika is the Islamic traditional ritual cutting baby's hair on the 7th day of birth. The host of Akika is the parents of baby or guardian. There are 2 reasons for Akika. First, Islam baby give greeting to God and to hope the baby will get blessed from the God. Second, to celebrate the birth of the baby. Parents invite relatives, neighborhoods, and friends to celebrate the birth of baby and enjoy the party. In addition, they donate food to poor. When they celebrate the birth of the baby, they whisper azan in right ear, which means the God is the greatest man, and cut bit of hair of baby. The most important thing is the food. They must slaughter healthy over 2 years old goat or sheep with not cruel method. In general, they slaughter 2 goats or sheep when the baby is male and slaughter a goat or sheep when the baby is female. If one can't slaughter on the 7th day, someone may slaughter on the 14th day or on the 21st day. If one is not capable of doing so, then a person may slaughter any time before the puberty of the child or just give the food to the neighborhood. The Akika is Sunnah or Mustan. It is not obligatory at all, so there is no sin on the one who does not do it. The party starts on holiday or weekends and never ending until running out of the food. The people who invited to the party should give the present to the host. Interesting thing is, there is a food agency. The parents don't have to prepare the food. They just need to call to the agency and the food will be delivered to their home before the party. The cost is about 120,000 won for 30 people. Next, shaving the head. It is traditional but not required for parents to shave the hair of their newborn child on the 7th day after birth. The hair is weighed and an equivalent amount in silver or gold is donated to the poor. Next, 7. Naming the child. One of the very first duties that parents have toward a new child besides physical care and love is to give the child a meaningful Muslim name. It is reported that the Prophet said, on the day of resurrection, you will be called by your names and by your father's means. So give yourselves good names. Muslim children are usually named within 7 days of their birth. Visitors. Of course, new mothers traditionally get many happy visitors. Among Muslims, visiting and assisting the indisposed is a basic form of worship to bring one closer to God. For this reason, the new Muslim mother will often have many female visitors. It is common for close family members to visit right away and for other visitors to wait until a week or more after birth in order to protect the children from exposure to illness. The new mother is in convalescence for a period of 14 days, during which friends or relatives will often provide the family with meals. Next, adoption. Although adoption in Islam is subject to certain parameters, the Quran gives specific rules about the legal relationship between a child and her adoptive family. The child's biological family is never hidden. Their ties to the children are never severed. Marriage. Originally, there is a limitation between a man and a woman except family in Islam. So, arranged marriage was predominant. However, nowadays, the freedom has been highlighted, so marriage must be achieved with the consent of each side. The fact that marriage is a legal contact between a man and a woman is still maintained. Both the groom and the bride are to consent to the marriage of their own free wills. The silence of bride is also considered as consent. However, Malika or Shafi groups insist that if the bride is a married woman, substitute the groom wali must attend. Anyway, there is no forced marriage. If the consents are verified, the attendants recite Fatiha. Usually, marriage is carried in the personal house or office, not Islam mosque. The process of marriage is determined by the ritual of nation or tribe. A formal binding contract, verbal or on paper is considered integral to religiously valid Islamic marriage and outlines the rights and responsibilities of the groom and bride. In certain Islamic countries, there is a displaying event that displays the gifts which is given to bride and a banquet in which the dressed-up bride appears with elaborate clothes and jewelry, and then go to the matrimonial house riding palanquin. The marriage between Muslim man and Christian woman is legal. However, the marriage between Muslim woman and non-Muslim man is illegal. The man who does not believe Islam must convert their religion if a man wants to marry with Muslim woman. However, if it is not illegal cases or places, such marriage is socially acceptable depending on their surroundings.
Then I will talk about one of the rituals of Islam, funeral. In Islam, funerals have been held and are called janaza in Arabic. I will explain how Muslims think of death and the funeral procedure and manners. Islamic view of death. Islam's afterlife is similar to that of Christianity. Muslims believe the afterlife and it is named al-akhirah. When Muslims die, their soul go to akhirah. Then they meet the angels, Munkar and Nakir, who ask how sincere their belief is and how many sins they commit. According to their answers, their grave will be a comfortable place or not. And this akhirah life is called barzakh. When the day of judgment comes, the dead rise from the grave and are interrogated by Allah. Then, depending on the result, they go to heaven or hell. This view of death contributes to the burial rituals of Islam. Then I will explain the funeral procedure. There are several steps, and the first step is washing the body. It is called ghusl, and it is the duty for all of Muslims, called wajib. However, if someone do this, others don't need to obey the duty. Muslims clean the body as soon as possible. For the ghusl, lukewarm water and soap is required. Usually washing the body an odd number of times with wearing the gloves. If possible, camphor and cactus leaf may be used. The body is washed away from the head. Only the person who believes Islam do this procedure. And he or she is the same gender as the dead. However, for a child's corpse, the gender is not matter, and it is possible for a husband to wash his wife's corpse and vice versa. After the first step of the burial rituals, the body is left by clean clothes named kafan. Though there are no rules of adornment, white and not splendid clothes are preferred. The third step is prayer for the body, Salat al-Janaza. The body is laid for people praying in congregation, head on the right side of them and the face towards Qibla. Imam, Islamic priest, stands in front of people praying and recites loudly. Then others follow the recitation. For the female dead, Imam stands near the chest of the body. After the salat, the body should be buried. There is a rule about burying the body, and it is that Muslims cannot be buried in a Muslim graveyard. Also, the Muslim cannot be buried in Muslim graveyard. In case that they cannot be buried, the body may be buried in the graveyard of Christians or Jews. There are two types of grave, al-Shaq and al-Lahad. Al-Shaq is deep and shallow one. It is made by digging a deep vertical hole in the ground. And al-Lahad is L-shaped one. It is made by digging a deep vertical hole in the ground, then in the bottom making a side horizontal hole big enough to cover the whole body. If the land is solid, al-Lahad is usually preferred. Then the coffin is placed a short distance away from the grave and moved slowly to the grave by pausing for a few seconds, putting back on the ground and lifting again 3 times. At the 4th time, the coffin is lowered into the grave with head first and the face towards Qibla. After the coffin has been laid, the ties at both ends of the servant kafan should be unfastened, and some earth is put under the cheek of the dead. The wedding is prohibited during the following times: late at night, from sunrise until the sun is fully risen, when the sun at the meridian, until the sun passes the meridian, when the sun pales before sunset until it has set. Also, building mausoleums or mosques on the grave is prohibited. Because of their religious belief and traditions, a cremation is also avoided. Lastly, I will explain some manners. While attending the very rituals of the dead, people who attend should be in a gentle manner. The death causes grief for the family and friends, but they accept the inevitable will of Allah, and is their pain caused by the death of the dead. Widows mourn for 4 months and 10 days. During this period, she cannot remarry and interact with other male adults except the emergency cases. After burial, Muslims constantly mention the deceased in his prayer to God. As I mentioned before, when someone dies, he meets Munkar and Nakir and may suffer depending on his sins in his grave. However, that is not eternal, and others could ease the deceased by praying for him. Muslims can visit graves and greet the dead, asking forgiveness for him. The intention of visiting, however, should never be to seek favors from the dead, because it is regarded as blatant.
Hello, my name is Lee Kwang-myung, majored in electronic engineering, and I talk about a festival of Islam, Eid al-Adha. Part by 3, description, slaughter for sacrifice, al-Udhiyah. Eid al-Adha is one of the important regular festivals of Islam. There are many interesting things about rules and thoughts of festivals in Islam. It is a festival of sacrifice held on December 10th of the Islamic calendar. This is the best day of the year, one of the first 10 days. There are some stories about Eid al-Adha. The Prophet said that in the eyes of God, the most loving good deeds are good deeds done in these 10 days, and show mercy and peace to him. Then people asked, is it done on the way of God better than jihad? Then he said, Yes, the good works of this period are better than jihad, performed in the ways of God. However, it is an exception if you fail to lose all of the items after playing with yourself and your property. This is the greatest day of the pilgrimage. This is the day when the most important ordinances of the pilgrimage are held. It comes from the practice of sacrifice in the valley of Mana near Mecca prior to Islam. It is came from the Abraham offering of goats instead of trying to sacrifice Ismail by Allah's blocking. On the Adha festival, not only pilgrims but also ordinary believers sacrifice one goat to each and one camel by 7 slaughters. 1/3 of the meat is eaten by himself, and the rest is given to others or to the poor, and these items are considered godly, so cannot be sold. And the believers are expected to wear clean clothes, and also cow turning, beast slaughtering, and stone throwing are all performed on this day. Regular Muslims who are not pilgrims are the same as on this day on the other Islam festival, Eid al-Fitr. However, with the exception of Zakat Fitr, this is only for the festival of Fitr. On the Eid al-Adha festival, it is especially recommended to slaughter the beast. Al-Udhiyah is that camel or cow or sheep or goat slaughtered for the purpose of worshipping God during the festival. There is important for the slaughter time. The slaughter time ranges from the 10th-day festival first worship in during festival to the Maghrib worship on the third. The Most High said, "So worship for your Lord and take the sacrifice." In other words, it means to offer Eid worship and then to offer al-Udhiyah. Al-Udhiyah is highly recommended for those who are permitted, and the permitted slaughter is carried out for himself and for his own family. Anyone who intends for al-Udhiyah should not shave hair or nails or smack something from their skin from first day of festival to slaughter time. Their livestock is a sheep or goat or cow or camel. No other animals or birds are allowed. One sheep is sacrificed for slaughters and their family, and the cow or camel can replace up to 7 slaughters. Livestock must reach a certain age. Sheep is 6 months, goats are 1 year, cows are 2 years, camels are 5 years. There should be no obvious defects in livestock. The Prophet, may God show mercy and peace to him, said, "We cannot be used sacrifice in certain 4 conditions. First, livestock with categorically blind. Second, livestock with apparently sickness. Third, livestock with obvious lameness. Fourth, the livestock with the remaining bone marrow empty." These conditions are important in using livestock as a sacrifice. One of the important things is commercial trading of al-Udhiyah meat is prohibited. It is recommended to divide the meat into thirds. In other words, 1/3 is eaten by himself and a third is used as gift and the other third is for the poor. Sometimes, if necessary, you can entrust slaughter and meat distribution to certain non-profit organizations by paying certain money.
Another largest festival for Muslims is Eid al-Fitr, joyful and meaningful time of Eid. On the ninth month of Islam calendar, Ramadan, Muslims live a thorough ascetic life. This is a meaningful time for them to follow the lessons of the Quran, to avoid violence, anger, and greed. The most well-known feature is the fast. Eid al-Fitr means the ending of the fasting in Arabic. For non-Muslims like us, it might seem that this could seem like time of penance, right? But for Muslims, fasting is a great reminder to raise their patience and self-control, while feeling grateful for what they have and reflecting on poor people around them. The fast also shows submission to God at the same time by observing the commandment and making atonement for their faults. This is the reason why the successful and meaningful ending of Ramadan is celebrated by Eid al-Fitr. Eid al-Fitr is usually held when the Ramadan ends and the 10th month Shawwal begins. However, the interesting fact is that the exact date is never certain far in advance, as religious authorities rely on the sighting of the Eid crescent moon to announce when it will officially begin. It can be delayed by a day if the sky is too bright when the moon is out, or if clouds obstruct it. In fact, this year, this festival will be held from May 24th to 27th, which is just coming next week. During the festival, Muslims gather in their mosques to have worship and have a magnificent party with their families and close friends. This is called Eid al-Fitr, which has a long history started when Muhammad moved from Mecca to Medina, like we've seen in the movie The Messenger. On the Arabian Peninsula, before the establishment of Islam, there was already custom of fast for their self-culture and celebrating their history, and this was selected as representative festival for Islam by Muhammad. Every street is decorated with colorful ornaments, flags, and sculptures of the mosque. This festival forms the largest consumer market in Islam world, causing Ramadan special effects. On the first day of festival, in the early morning when the sun rises, Muslims change their clothes to new ones and gather in special places arranged for worship. Before worship, they give alms to the poor, which is called zakat, one of 5 pillars of Islam. As a part of zakat, Muslims give an obligatory payment to charity, but this one is a smaller donation compared with the usual 2.5% of zakat that wealthy Muslims are taxed. In addition to these payments, some Muslims take the initiative to work voluntarily at soup kitchens and hand out their own foods to those in need. The feast day worship, Salat al-Eid, is held at Idgah or special mosque which is located in suburb areas, just like Muhammad did. It is not wrong to use ordinary mosques as worship place, but Idgah is more desirable on this day. They pray devoutly with a lot of people gathering in Idgah, and this is effective for strengthening solidarity. Devotees lie their face down twice and say Allah Akbar, which means Allah is great. During the worship, they keep off from saying things aside from praising the God. After the prayer, they exchange gifts and visit their family. They share lavish foods with neighbors and greet each other, say Eid Mubarak, meaning become a blessed Eid. Another name of Eid al-Fitr is Sugar Festival, because many of the festive foods are sweet commonly all around the world. They eat puddings, fruits, and sweet noodles. In Arab states, people eat puddings called sheer kurma, and in Southwest Asia, cookies and jellies like cham cham, barfi, gulab jamun, and ras malai are popular. Then, shall we look more closely at Eid al-Fitr throughout the world? Countries across Southwest Asia, North Africa, and multicultural countries like US, which means wherever Muslim lives, celebrate their own Eid al-Fitr. In Saudi Arabia, this festival is held very splendid, holding huge events to celebrate Eid al-Fitr. Days of fireworks shows are especially popular in the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, as people take the opportunity to spend quality time together. Families gather together and serve plentiful foods, and children get pocket money and presents. As the representative virtue of this feast is charity and kindness, stores dish gifts to people and spread a mat on roads, sharing foods with strangers. In Egypt, it is national holiday lasting for 3 days. Children and women get presents from their lovers, and they eat nut cookies called kak. In India, they call the night before the festival Chand Rat, the night of the moon, and families go shopping on that night. They visit their ancestral graves and extend their greetings to seniors of their families. This is similar in Turkey and Indonesia, which has most similar custom to Korea. People go home for holidays, causing massive traffic jam across the country. Indonesians recite Quran and call Eid al-Fitr as Lebaran, which is a time for confession about one's faults to their friends and family, and in religious way also. Also, Post networks of US issue commemorative spans.
From now on, we introduce Islamic literature and festivals. In the literature section, we talk about the lifestyles of the Muslims, called it 5 pillars of Islam, and Ramadan, that are unusual ritual activities in Islam, and the birth of a baby, and marriage and funeral. This all represents the lives of Muslims. And then the festival section, we cover 2 of Islam's largest festivals, Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr. We think it was an opportunity to explore cultures that are not easy to encounter. Islam is not a religion we were accustomed to, so we didn't have much opportunity to know about their rituals or festivals. Knowing their rituals and festivals will help us better understand their cultures, perspective, and society. The most powerful way to understand their cultures is to understand their life. We hope that this will respect us and other cultures based on our understanding of life. Thank you for listening our presentation.